What is up, and welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Savage Burbos, and yes, this is not good. This is not good. We're here recording from home. Timmy's from home. We have 13 on the line waiting. I usually, when I go away, firstly, I'm joined by Timmy. How are you, Timmy?
Yeah, good, mate. I was just a little wave to the viewers, the 13 that are waiting or joining us.
How are you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. I'm well. Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, sorry, scratchy start. This is pretty much going to be the whole podcast, lads. This is what the day has been. I usually pack my podcast gear so we can seamlessly do podcasts throughout when I travel for work. I've traveled for work today. I was off early enough to go. I forgot my power cord for the computer, and it's the one cord that I pretty much couldn't find. Like any other cord, I could have replaced at a local shop, but this cord is for a Mac computer, and it's like a little. It's got like pins at the back, and it's like a little magnet thing, um, and yeah. So now I'm just doing it on my phone. So this is not a regular Tuesday podcast. This is just we're just getting by. We're just going to answer a couple of questions, talk about a couple of hot topics, maybe go for half an hour or so. But an extended Q&A / whatever podcast will be tomorrow or Thursday to make up for it, because this is the biggest shit fight I've ever seen in this podcast history. We've had some shit fights as well.
Yeah, don't write it off before it started. You know, just stay in the game, mate. Keep a strong mental game, mate. And you might find you have a killer performance.
The good thing is, and by the way, I finished work. I drove an hour and a half to go find a fucking cable. Couldn't find a cable. Had like half an hour to get back home, and I was an hour and a half away. So it's just been a very tough battle. But the plus is for the Tuesday podcast, we don't really get a chance to answer questions. So now we can do that. Tyler Bolting says, "Hi lads, do I sell JC for turbo or hold for 2 weeks?" Should we get to that or?
Oh, you wanted to ask a question. I feel like you can't leave him hanging. So, well, let's answer
All
that
right.
one.
Do I sell JT?
Yeah, do you go?
No, sorry, you go.
Okay, it's a bit of lag. So JC, I own him. I'm a little off him after last week. I was pretty keen on holding him. Probably going to still hold him this week just because of my plans to bring in Cleary. For my sake, now that I've sort of missed those big ones off Turbo going into the Roosters this week and then a bye. I'm going to go Ponga in round 23. He's going to be a lot cheaper. He's got actually a arguably better draw than Turbo. The Manly side are looking pretty red hot in attack, though, so I do think Turbo can probably keep it up. So if you can find a way to do it, yeah. But I'm happy with the way I'm going with it. So if you want to wait for Turbo, 150k cheaper, you can look at that.
All right. Well, there's heaps of questions coming through. I'm not going to start answering them all because, firstly, let's go through how we went on the weekend. I scored 1405. I'm up to 17th overall. 4 trades left. 4 trades left after trades this week. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. Not really planning on getting anyone else in urgently straight away. I think I'll wait till round 23, round 24. But pretty happy with the side. Pretty happy with how the side's travelling. But yeah, I feel like I haven't really believed it in weeks gone past, but we can win, baby. We can win.
Bloody oath. Yeah, look, and you're having big weeks like that and your side's set up. I think you're just in a place where you're making the right decisions as well. You're not overthinking stuff, and it's just things are pretty clear to you. So just keep backing yourself, and yeah, fingers crossed. Just a good couple of weeks, you'll be a lot closer and within striking range in the final round.
I think a lot of teams around who are up there, Barnsley is very similar. I think he's on a similar thought process to what I'm going to be doing leading into the last few weeks. A lot of teams kind of like I know first a couple of weeks ago, Tandy's late mail. He's been trading hard ever since. He's got a trade in Cleary this week. I think he had 3 trades before trades this week. So if he trades in Cleary, he will have 2 trades left. If he needs cash, he'll have 1 trade left after trades this week. So I think a lot of teams up higher are struggling to fathom with the fact that they might have to have a drop here and there based on how their side is traveling. But I think you've got to outweigh trades in the later end compared to what's it worth having a higher rank right now. I get it if you're in first though, like it's so understandable. If you're in first, you want to keep that lead, you want to dominate as much as you can and just hold on for dear life for as long as you can. But realistically, I feel like it's not one right now. It's obviously little decisions here and there are going to help you win it, but the real winner will be decided on how they use their trades probably in the last 3 weeks.
Bit like State of Origin. You just got to win those little battles throughout the year, win as many little battles week to week in your SuperCoach season, and that will come out on top. So, yeah, keep on going, Savs, and good luck to Barnsley as well, friend of the podcast, but not as much good luck as Savs, obviously, a little bit as less luck. We're full team, Savs.
I'd be very happy with a first and second finish as long as I'm on the better side of it, because I'll feel very angry if I have to lose to Barnsley and try and be happy for him. I will be happy for him, but it'll be
Barnsley's bride. You'll be his bridesmaid.
How'd you go on the weekend, or should we skip that?
No. I went terribly. I went 1,122, 1122. It was probably the most stressful week of making decisions. I had so many decisions. I won't bore the listeners with every single one of my stresses I had throughout the week, but it involved hooker, it involved fullback, and whether I wanted to go turbo or whether I wanted to wait for a Ponga, and which downgrades to make, and who was going to. There was so much going on, and I just kept going around and around in my head all week with the same thoughts and never being able to come up with a solution. I just kept not liking any of the options, but also didn't want to do anything. So what I did end up doing is I ended up trading out Appy Coruscant. The reason I did that is I'm pretty heavy head-to-head focused as well now. I him not playing last week and also having a bye in round 26, which is the grand final for head-to-head. I thought I probably need to part with him now because I won't be able to deal with that in the grand final. I probably will either have used my trades by then or wanting to save trades for the last 2 rounds in Carnage. So I thought trade him out, and I was actually going to go to Reed Marnie, my never again basket, because I couldn't do Connor Watson. So for my head-to-head purposes, Connor Watson plays the round 23 bye, which is, head-to-head finals. So that was stressing me out. So didn't bring him in, which was good. Didn't score great. Didn't bring in Reed Marnie, scored crap, 25 or something, which would have I wouldn't have been. I said to you earlier in the week, I might have quit SuperCoach if I had brought Reed Marnie in. That might have just done it for me. That might have done it after bringing him back out of the never again basket because he'd been scoring so good all year, and then would have popped out that for me. But I went Harry Grant, and I'm happy with it. He might rest in the final round, but head-to-head purposes, it'll get me through all of that. And if he does rest in the last round, then that might be one of the trades I use to deal with because I'm going to keep 2 up my sleeve. So feeling so clear now after all that stress of the last week. I know my trades are locked in this week, already. My vice captain and captain. So much more clarity now moving forward because I've already made my decisions. And that's why last week was so hard because I had to make a lot of decisions moving forward in 1 week, whether I was letting that go. And, there's a lot to weigh up. But, yeah, so it didn't drop too bad, though. I dropped to 2,900th from about 2,000th.
Nice.
Like, it was a 900 drop, and nearly everyone I looked around was scoring 1,300, 1,400. So I didn't see really any scores any worse than my 1120. A couple around me, but yeah.
It's not too bad. It feels like you're in a spot where you've got to do a lot wrong to kind of really bounce out too hard. But
that's why I wanted to keep
like
trades up my sleeve. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the spot you're in. Trades wise, you're looking very good. And the Harry Grant thing, you're asking a lot of questions in the chats over the weekend, and like there's so many double jointed questions that it just confused me, and I just bounced out. And I was so sick over the weekend, so it didn't really help. But I think the fact he went with Harry Grant, I look at his matchup this weekend, and I think I'd be so excited to own Harry Grant this weekend. His record against Parramatta is so good. But yeah, great decision over Connor Watson, obviously. And I think the issue was that sternum issue, but he played 80 minutes on the weekend. Looks good. And looks good. We are hosting an event on August 10th at 2 p.m. at Drink West Brewery in Penrith. We have guests such as the likes of the SuperCoach Experience crew, which will be me, Timmy, Hads, Grant, Mikey, and Jake. Will be hosting the day. We'll all be coming in and out, hosting different people. We also have Tom Sangster. I don't know if he's headlining the event, but he's the big
he's the
SuperCoach
headlining
guy. We've got Malachi Watini-Lesniak. We've got Maverick Geyer. We've also got the Cast Patrol, Winston Neville, and do we have someone else? Winston Neville. Mark Barnes is coming, 4th overall as well. Sorry, I'm doing this all off the top of my head. I'm not looking at anything because the one piece of device that I have all my information on, I'm recording this on. So, yeah, that is on August 10th at 2 p.m. at Drink West Brewery at Penrith. And we're going to be playing games. We're going to be doing little interviews here and there. There's going to be lots of prizes and lots of giveaways. So shout out to Drink West for hosting it for us. It's going to be a great day. There's a good chance Nathan Cleary comes. He is a part owner of that brewery. So if he's available to come, he will come. And they said it will be likely. And I can say that because it is his brewery. So Tyson Pedro will be there too. I really should have put him in the event as like one of the headliners as well, but he will be there. So if you're a fighting fan, if you're a SuperCoach fan, or you're just a NRL dude, come down to the event, win some free merch, win some free beer, and it's going to be a good day.
Yeah, I like breweries, so you can't go wrong with a good brewery with a nice selection of beer, and they've got some fine brisket next door that's attached to the brewery. It's called the Biscuit Boys, I think. Yeah, it's very good gear, so get around that.
Brisket Boys, Flappies, and there's World Burger, and there's a couple of good spots there. So, and they're getting a food truck there, so it'll be good. Massive day of footy. Manly versus Canberra is the first game, and then Penrith versus Cowboys, and then the Dogs play, I think, the Dragons in the last game. So you can go home by then. All right, so let's get into TLT, the big burning issues from TLT. Nathan Cleary, he's named to back up. 109 break even, 745k. 19,000 people have traded him in already, and I'm like, if any numbers are not perfect here, I'm just going off the top of my head here. But I think I'm pretty accurate. I'm pretty good with numbers. He is really. What are your thoughts, Timmy? I think the fact that he looks so good on return.
It's going up to 20. It's going up to 21,287, and I'm one of them. I'm bringing him in for sure. Really pumped about it. I'm so excited that I know who I'm trading out to, because that was one of the big headaches. I went close to trading Galvin out for Cleary last week, which it would have been fine to have Cleary already, but I'm now paying less, and Galvin scored basically the same amount or even more, I think. So, yeah, that would have stung a bit. Would have taken more off my score. So, yeah, I'm going to sell Cody Walker for him. I think he looked great on return. I think particularly just the Origin, the Blues going well and having success, and, Mitch Moses, sitting in his throne and sort of having all the glory will sort of, inspire him to be at his best. Because I think, for him to be any chance to try and get his spot back, it's going to come down to form. So, I think if they're both in form, Nathan probably doesn't get that spot back. So he's going to have to be in elite form and hope that Mitch drops off. So there's no reason not to pick him up, I don't think, unless you've got other plans and you just want to wait another week. I think what is it be? He's still another 104, so it's not like he's probably going to gain too much in price. But yeah, I'm all over it. What about you, Mikey? You picking him up or what, brother?
How are you, boys? Sorry to jam in the middle there, but yeah, of course, mate. As a fellow Panthers supporter like you, Timmy, no-brainer this week.
Guys, I've just added Mikey to the chat because my setup is so shit and just so bad. I want to bring some quality. You guys are at home. You got your setup, so I just didn't want it to be all over the place. Even though this probably makes it more all over the place, but
well, it is what it is.
We'll get Mikey. We won't intro you in because you've been on the Sunday Wrap. People know if they listen, but we will get to some questions. We are talking on Cleary. I guess the question with Cleary is, Mikey, is there a case to skip for a week if you have other issues, or what are your thoughts?
I had someone ask me this position. There'll be a few that'll be in this boat where they need Angus Crichton. And if you need Angus Crichton and you can only get one this week, where do you lead the priorities? And I'd still say just Cleary, but say you got someone like Cardi that you really needed to get rid of. It makes sense with his high break even. But with Cleary, I think the fact that if you fade him this week, he's got a very nice matchup against the Dragons. He could go absolutely nuts, and I'd be worried not having him. The only thing I say about Cleary is Luai's gone to another level this year. He's been really good by himself. His kicking game's been really good, which is learned from Cleary. So I think their pairing is different than what it is from the previous seasons. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I think they're going to leave opposition second guessing, but we don't know what it's going to have implications for the scoring. Is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? I'm not sure. I'm interested to see that. And I think it's an important note to take. Obviously, that's not making me not bring him in, but I think that it is a big watch this week, seeing how that goes. I'm very intrigued about that scenario because as a Panthers fan, it could go a number of ways.
I think as a podcast, we focus on overall a lot. We've really got to start dissecting these questions into two separate parts, head-to-head versus overall, because I think you can really play tactically at the moment. Because if this is a head-to-head based question and you're locked into your top four in all the comps that you think are important, of course you can just skip Cleary and wait till next week because it's not going to hurt you in the scheme of the whole competition. Cleary, he might even make money this week depending on how he goes against the Dragons. 2 p.m. game again, that is very juicy for him. But overall wise, I think you'd be pretty risky to skip him. But if you are head-to-head and you are locked into your top four and it sets you up to have your side better coming into the finals, then I think it's perfectly fine to hold off.
The reason I could understand someone wanting to maybe do it would be if, say, they wanted Turbo and they weren't a bit unsure the last couple of weeks. They seen that 170 last week, and now they're like, that's the guy I want to pair, to run home. And if you don't pick him up this week, I think his BE's, in the negatives, so you'll be paying too much. So people might be in that situation where they need to just act on the fullback this week, move on that, and then bring in Cleary next week, who's not going to change too much in price. But if you are one of those people and you're stressing out, if you're not that set on Turbo, I think he looks fantastic and he's probably the best to pair with Teddy. But I'm pretty liking the look of Ponga for round 23. Have a look at the draw on. You pick up Cleary this week. You can save trades next week. And then the week after, you bring in Ponga, and it's just a really nice run home. And I think it can go pretty close to matching it with Turbo. Maybe their side's not as good in attack, but he makes up for it with goal kicking. He didn't kick all of them, but I think he'll pick it back up and maintain it.
I
He
did
took
want
the
to speak,
kicking at the end. Oh, sorry, guys.
yeah, I did want to speak about something else before we did move on to this, but I think natural progression has taken us here. The fullbacks. I think we've been earmarking Ponga. There's been Edwards, who has been very closely watched because of their run home. Edwards is out 4 weeks now, so I don't think you can bank on him. Ponga has been the main guy, and it's Ponga versus Turbo. And if you need Turbo, you kind of need to do it this week because he has a negative 30 break even with 174 in his average. He could be over $1 million in a couple of weeks. It's crazy. He does have the bye next week. But my thoughts on Ponga versus Turbo, which I think it's what it comes down to now. I've been thinking about it quite intensely because I feel like I've been looking at ways to get Angus Crichton, and I was thinking, if Ponga has a really good draw, maybe eventually I could go Tommy down to Ponga to bank 200 or 300k. Hear me out. I'm not doing it, by the way. But what deter me against it is I think you've got to look at the teams who are performing well and are going to put scores on bad teams. What have we seen from Newcastle that's going to tell us that they're going to go on a run? Like last year, the reason Ponga killed us so badly is because every player in the team were playing career best footy. Manly, we've got Nathan Brown pretty much resurrected. Luke Brooks playing nearly career best footy. Tommy Talau, he's playing career best footy. Jason Saab, career best footy. Oh, besides 2021, but most of these guys are lifting, and he's in a side where everybody's overachieving. Newcastle is in a side where everybody's underachieving. There's rumours that people are off the coach, and that's never a good thing. And I just always go back to, I feel like we romanticize with the idea of somebody's last season. Oh, they did it last season, they're going to do it again this season. And I get, if it hurt you, it's so hard to, you don't want to go through that again. And I get that because I was feeling exactly the same thing. But if you just kind of scale back and just look at it, what's happening right now, Tommy is hot. He's in a good side. Ponga, they need to do a lot, and yeah, they could do a lot. He could be the center of the attack, but I don't know. I just feel like it's not going to hurt you to not go Ponga.
I disagree with you entirely.
No,
I disagree with you completely. Everything you said, I think the opposite. It's depending. So, like, as shit as the Knights, like, this is good because we agree a lot, Savs. But
yeah,
as shit
good.
as you think the Knights may seem, I agree with you. And the number one thing that I'm worried about is that whole coaching thing. But apart from that, they've had 2 losses on the trot, which might seem bad. But before that, they were winning games they shouldn't. They were on quite a bit of a winning streak. And you look at their run home, and their run home isn't that bad. Ponga is the kind of guy that he does a lot. You want him to do a lot. And it's more so just if you've got Tom and you've missed out on Tom, we missed out on 108 or whatever that score was last week that absolutely destroyed me. And the week before that, you're now kind of thinking, okay, if I'm going to spend 820K this week, he scores his break even at 80, he makes 90K or whatever it is. But that means over the next 2 rounds, because he's got to buy, you're buying him for that price with an average of 40. If Kalen Ponga then comes out in the round 23 after he plays the Panthers versus the Tigers, you're going to get him for about 650K to 680K if he makes his break even, meaning that is your opportunity. The way I see it is I like to play a bit aggressive, and it's an opportunity to make up for these 2 weeks where Tom has absolutely burnt you. And think about the price you're going to save. I guess the only thing I favor with Sads is it is risky because if Tom continues his form from a couple of seasons ago, we're in trouble. But if we're hoping that Tom's going to continue to do that from a couple of seasons ago, then I don't think there's anything wrong with hoping that Ponga can do what he did last year. And like Timmy said, sorry, with the goal kicking, he did take the goal kicking towards the end of that game. So I think that's only going to help him. But yeah, Manly versus Knights in form. Yeah, of course, Manly. But I'm just thinking that, you know, what move can I do differently to catch up? And I think it's that.
So, Savs, you're a Turbo owner. I don't think you need to sit there and stress about people like, oh, they're going to be getting Ponga soon because you've got Turbo. Turbo's a weapon. I just think if you don't own Turbo, like you didn't jump on him last week when he had a better draw, like he had the Titans last week, and you knew you were going to have to pay more this week. like he scored a ton the week prior to that, so you already seen he was going all right. I was a little reluctant that that Newcastle game might have been a bit easy because they had that Kant guy in the centres and he was a bit
So
average.
was I, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
I nearly
but then he brained it, and but still, I think he was still going to know. Like, I was pretty sure he was going to score at least 80. But if you're happy with you'd bring him in for 80. My point would be just like, it's this week now. You're paying max like 800K. He plays the Roosters. The Roosters are a very good side. Yeah, they lost to Melbourne last week, but Melbourne's a different beast to Manly. And then they go
average
into
against 70 against the Roosters too, Timmy. Tom averages 70. So it's not, if he scored a 70 or below, it's not going to be good for 2 weeks. I'd happily pay 900K for him if you prefer him over Ponga, if it got to that.
Yeah.
Like, I know that might sound crazy, but if you got the cash, I'd risk and watch, because realistically, anything under 80, I think we kind of missed the boat for now. I'd prefer Reece Walsh this week over Tom, which might sound crazy, but have a look at him for the same price and his draw over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I kind of was a little bit like, if I wanted to sort of just jump on and not be, because I'm basically gone without a gun fullback for the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So I'm going to have 4 weeks without a gun fullback, having Jaden Campbell just down there for a bit, which is potentially going to hurt me. But I think Kalen Ponga can make it up, and for a cheaper price. The draw, once he comes back, he's got the bye, then he goes Panthers. We wait for that drop after the Panthers game, BE of 100. Hopefully goes down to at least 650. And then he plays the Tigers on return. It's going to be a massive game for him. A little bit tougher against the Sharks the week after, but the next 3 for the run home, I've just absolutely dreamed. He's got the Bunnies, then the Titans, and then the Finns. So if you're looking at Tommy Turbo goes up against the Raiders when Kalen Ponga has the Tigers. So Ponga wins that matchup. Then you've got Turbo goes up against the Wars the same week that Ponga goes up against the Sharks. So you'd say Turbo wins that matchup. But then, tough. Turbo has the Tigers the week after that, the week that Ponga has the Bunnies. So pretty even, but you'd probably say Turbo is a better matchup against the Tigers. Then Turbo has the Dogs and the Sharks in the final 2 rounds. Kind of tough-ish games, where Kalen Ponga has the Titans and the Finns. So you could say he would win on both of those.
And they're both at home, Timmy, those 2 last ones for Ponga. And I think the big thing is, from a head-to-head point of view, if you got through that final, look at the matchup versus Tom to Ponga. We're not saying that Ponga is a better option than Tom. You're listening to 2 owners here that don't have Tom. And I just find it hard paying that cash now when I have other options that I can do. Like, we're making up. We've already lost those 2 points. A few weeks ago, people were saying, no, don't pick up Tom. He looked a bit injured in that first game. He come back. The people are saying the same thing about Kalen Ponga now. So it's more so just, what move can we do, like, more to get ahead? And if you've already spent quite a bit of money and you're low on trades, if we already need the money to go Cleary and Crichton, then Tom's another big upgrade, where realistically Ponga can be a straight switch. Like, I'm a Paps owner. It's the main reason same if you're a Paps owner. He now has Para and Dragons. Him to Tom would be a waste with his draw over the next 2 weeks. I'm better off doing that. And then round 23, when Manly come off their bye, I can reassess, is Tom better than Ponga? And I'd be willing to pay the extra money to see Tom to make sure, because if he went 150 or against the Roosters, then I think he's an absolute must-have.
I agree.
Am I going to be paying up to? Yeah, you'll be paying up to see that, but that would change my mind. That would
that's a great point.
Yeah,
I'd already locked into my mind, like, as much as Turbo's, I think, going to kill it and go quite well. If I can bring in Ponga, who goes pretty close, or maybe beats Turbo some rounds that Turbo's matchups are a bit tougher, and also potentially use that extra cash that of 100 and 20, 30K or whatever it might be, to upgrade someone like KPP to Angus Crichton in coming weeks, or maybe one of my third front rowers to a decent. I could probably do more. And I just think that that's the way I want to go about it, especially when I know that I'm only getting Turbo for the next 2 rounds, 1 game. And that 1 game's not even a really good matchup as well. So, yeah, but you make the greatest point. If he goes out against the Roosters this week and just absolutely rips them apart and it's a 150 plus, I think we just have to go, as well, cheap as Ponga might be, we might need to just find another downgrade and go with Turbo once he gets back from the bye. So, bit of eyes up and go from there.
Tom's definitely the safety play. They play at home against the Roosters. He averages 70 against them. He's like 4th lowest scoring average against another team. So that's what just makes me want to hold. But look, I wish I jumped on Tom 2 weeks ago. I said it on our Barnsley's podcast before. If I jumped on Tom 2 weeks ago from Paps, I'd be in the top 100. So absolutely
really hoping.
Yeah, it is what it is. And yeah, we're going to move on. But yeah, Timmy, I'm not sure if he's, I don't know where he's up to because I started late. Savs is going to be back in 10. Have we spoke about one of the Panthers? He's number 4 on the biggest trade. And have you spoke about Casey McLean yet?
Oh, that's all we've talked about. My first trade in. That's my second trade in. And I'm glad because I was.
So you already spoke about him? Sorry.
No, we haven't chatted about him yet.
Okay. All right. Perfect. There we go. Segue into it.
Yeah. So for me, like I've been looking for, I was either going to bring in last week if I was going to do enough or like a cheapie guy. I didn't want enough out. I wanted to get someone that's probably going to get some games or be playable if I need them in the back end of the season, like a Jesse Arthurs or that Ali Leotau from the Warriors. But I much prefer Casey McLean now that Alamotti's been injured. He's out for 6 weeks with that fractured arm. That I think that'll be his spot unless his brother comes back and is ahead of him. I don't know whether...
I think it's changed, Timmy. So if you also have a look at the team list, I'm not sure how long McLean's out for, but in that bottom reserves, they don't have a center or a winger name. They've got Isaiah Iongi, who's a fullback. Yep. So he's not going to take a spot. And the only other, they got Jack Cole there, who did play a little bit of a center. But as good as Jack Cole's been, I don't think they'd pick Jack Cole over Jesse McLean. Over Casey.
I was just talking about coming rounds.
Yeah, because he's an out-and-out center. But I think it's his to lose. And look back at the last seasons with like Taylor May, Taruva. They weren't number 1 in the pecking order. They got there from injuries, and then they played super hard because next year there's room for him to cement a spot, Casey. So I think he's going to have a real strong end to the season because there's Taruva's leaving, and Alamotti's not 100% locked into a position. So
worst case, he turns
he's got to play hard.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
I think it's. I don't like. I've got very few trades left, but I was even considering an Iro to McLean just because of the money it would give me. But I'm going to wait a week, and I'd happily still pay $300K for him because let's look at his scores: a score in the 40, a score in the 50, and no tries or nothing yet. And the fact I'm not 100% sure if they'll partner him with To'o, but I think they'll partner him on the left with Taruva. But they've been switching around our edges a lot this year. But the fact you don't have to get enough, he can free up your money to get all these Angus Crichtons, Clearys, and potentially even Tom in. The fact, I think he's a playable option most weeks. Apart from that Storm game, I'd play him every week. Yeah, I'd play him. Like, how can you get normally a 200K player that you can play every week? It's very rare.
This time of the year, I normally wouldn't, but I've got, Ola Kawatu still out. I've got Marju on the bye. And I was looking at either potentially playing either him or Burbo. And I thought, well, Burbo's got the Roosters in the centers and, McLean's playing in the centers, the Dragons. So it's a better matchup in, arguably a better side. But, the thing is the Manly side are attacking really well at the moment. So maybe Burbo could get some good attacking stats in that game. But I'm going to go with Casey McLean and play him this week. So he's scoring okay. He's probably going to be one of my shittier scores this week, mate. Probably 40 or 50. Hopefully not a 30, but there's potential upside there.
Tries coming. So the back of the Panthers back line, they're only going to get better now. I think we've been in second gear for most of the year. So I'd look at that. And if you can get someone for that price and be a playable option, I'm all for it. As I said, I don't think it's the worst. If you're going to be trading a guy like Iro, maybe wait a week because Iro's match up against the Cowboys that have leaked a lot of tries on that edge. I think it's worth just waiting an extra week, and you can pick him up for 300 next week if he goes really good because it looks like with his space and that a try will get him to 70-something plus, which is pretty decent to play. Like he'd be a better play over guys like Ronnie most weeks, depending on the matchup. But yeah, next on the list, I guess after we'll go over one more guy and then we can cover questions. Have you discussed Angus Crichton?
Well, that's who I was looking at. With there's Hamaso's above him on the list, but I think Angus is probably a little bit more relevant. I think whether people are going to pick him up now or in coming weeks, or whether they're just going to pass on him. I think the 4,000 that are picking up Hamaso this week are probably, the 4,000 will pick him up, and then there won't be too many others picking him up outside of that. I'm not saying he's a bad buy because you can pick him up in the center wing. It's just pretty stacked. And, whether or not you could fit him in. But, yeah, Angus Crichton, is he in your plans, Mikey, or what?
Oh, I ended up snagging him last week. I went Cardi to Crichton instead of getting Matt Burton just because I was really worried that I was going to cop an A from Joe Chan, so I had to make an on-the-go trade. But I guess the big thing about Angus Crichton's game, I know I got lucky, but the biggest thing about Angus Crichton is he's offloading his back. So because he's offloading his back, he updated from 50 to 71. So I think he's going to be too hard not to go with. He's got the Seagulls, the Dolphins. I don't think they're bad matchups for him, but then he goes on the bye. So realistically, if you couldn't afford to get him this week, I think you've got to wait till 24. But if you're a head-to-head player from 24 to 26, I don't think you can go without him. I think he'll be a player that will absolutely burn you in a head-to-head matchup. What do you reckon, Sabs? Is he on your horizon, or you just can't make it happen yet?
I can't make it happen yet, but if I get through to round 24 and I haven't used any more trades, then I'll get him in because that'll be round 24. I've only got 3 weeks left. If I use 2 trades to get him in, I think that's fine. Whether or not that means, I feel like, have you talked about Casey McLean yet?
We just finished the whole Casey McLean spiel.
Yeah,
so you can add your thoughts if you want to.
It's a bit awkward because, I've really got to downgrade probably right now if I want to make a move there depth-wise. So I'd go an Iro or a Brian Kelly to a Casey McLean, and that future-proofs me for the future, so I can pretty much go Kai Pearce-Paul to what's called Angus Crichton. But
which makes sense.
Yeah, but thinking of it, are you better off just holding someone like Kai Pearce-Paul and then
not playing him, playing your best 17 and keeping that trade up your sleeve for the bit of a carnage?
Because week to week, I'm looking at these people on my bench and I'm looking at players that I could potentially trade in, and I'm like, they're not going to make my 17 anyway, so there's no point of trading them in. But it's so awkward because I want to be able to have an avenue to him. But if nothing else comes up by round 24, then I'll just make 2 trades and make it happen. And hopefully
emergency trade, you're going to have them up your sleeve, right? For you're going to have 1 or 2 up your sleeve
I'm gonna hope
troubles.
Hope for 2 for the last round.
Yeah, well, you might find that in coming rounds, one of the guns, it might be Eli Katoa, it might be
that's my.
They go down injured for the year,
exactly.
You know what I mean? And then you're kind of it's one trade.
Something presents itself, and that's all I'm hoping for. And I think it will. Worst comes to worst, I could just do Nikora, or
he's going too good. You don't. Yeah, it's just. He's very shiny, Angus. I do agree he's probably better, but whether it's worth the trade that, if Angus was pumping out, 100, 80, 70, 70, 100, and Nikora was popping out 70, 80, 60, 70, you missed maybe, 60 points along there. I don't know. I'm just guessing roughly, right?
Yeah, but
for the emergency, you'd keep it up your sleeve. But Angus is looking so good. Just the way he's barging. I love it. He's got that arm that he puts up and just he's so hard.
If the try scoring comes back, it's 100 points easy for Angus. So you've just got to find a way to win.
It's 150 ceiling that can ruin your season. And with Nikora, they played the Tigers. Braden Trindle looked like an immortal. I have a feeling that the Sharks are going to come out and shit the bed now. That's just my gut feeling. I feel like
I don't like their matchup this week against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I just feel like
Queensland.
Without Nicho Hines, kind of reminds me of the Warriors with Tamari Martin and how he was doing so well every time Sean Johnson got injured. But look at him now, they just look flat. They look shit. Tamari Martin looks worse than Luke Kelly at his worst. That's how bad he looks. So I'm just yeah, just I think the Sharks are going to regress, and yeah,
The Sharks have a lot to play for still, Savs, and they are still hunting a top 4 position. So I guess their performance this week will tell you exactly where they're sitting for the back end of the season. So
It'd be
And
hard
they're
for them to
playing-
regress too much before the finals because the draw's really soft. It's like
Yeah,
Cowboys is their hardest game. Then they've got and they're still pretty leaky as far as
but-
SuperCoach goes.
they got the Cowboys
Um,
twice. They've got the Cowboys. What happened there?
Yeah, but
celebration. Only
don't-
you too.
I don't think they don't have the Cowboys twice. They've got Cowboys, South, Titans, Knights, Dragons, Warriors, and Manly. They've only got them once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Are we letting Mikey go? Is that
Yeah,
where we
yeah.
are?
I've got to. We'll do. That's all right. We'll do one more talking point, and then I'll slip off.
Awesome. What have you covered, and what do I
We
need?
did Casey McLean and Angus Crichton, so just keep going down. Yeah, we haven't really spoken.
Casey
about much
McLean,
Supercoach
Angus
changes, but we
Crichton. We've
covered
done the
Penrith.
fullbacks. We've done Nathan Cleary. Terrell May. So
You want to
Terrell
talk
May.
AFB or Hammer?
I guess Terrell May and AFB can be
AFB
wrapped into
Hammer
the same
as well.
convo.
I already locked it in on Terrell May. So Terrell May named at number 17 this week. They've got the Manly Sea Eagles, the Dolphins in the next 2 weeks, then a bye. I think maybe that bye week was a week a lot of us were earmarking to sell him potentially leading into head finals. I was planning on using Sam Hughes as cover for him. But now the fact he's named at number 17, I don't know, it just feels yuck. It feels like he's the last guy on that list. And every time he's named at number 17, I feel like he hasn't got the minutes. I'm just backing this up by gut feel.
But Spencer could revert to the bench before that game. He's not penciled into 100% starting. And even in that position, at this point, low on trades, I don't care what his price plummets in. I think, I've got my AFB last week. I don't want to worry about front row. If you're Sam Hughes as your cover for that week, if you're a head-to-head player, I don't think it matters too much if you're in the top 4. If not, it's a little scary. But realistically, with what this guy can do with minutes, he's too scary not to have. And I'm not playing him this week. With the amount of strength I've got this week, I won't even look at playing him just because of the risk of those minutes. But with what he can do in that time, and if more people go down, plus he gets that round 23 to freshen up, he'll become he's a handy third front rower. If he's just starting 2, fair enough. If you really feel Payne Haas and the Broncos are going to charge home, I could get around that trade. But at the minute, he hasn't pumped out a low score in quite a while. 56 last week in the minutes that he got, where it looked like it was going to be a real low one from him. So he's hard to sell.
Yeah, I don't think it's panic stations at the moment, but he was one of my initial trade thoughts, Mikey. I was thinking of going Kai Pearce-Paul to Josh Curran, which is a weird one this time of year. And then when the time comes for Terrell May to be sold in round 23 potentially, and you need cover, I can sell him to Angus Crichton.
Yeah, but in that week, if you're selling him on the bye week, you're selling him to another player that's not going to play. So, would that put you off doing that move?
Well, I won't do it that week, obviously.
You'll do it the week after, yeah.
But it doesn't matter because I'll be using the trade on him anyway, so I'll probably do it the week after. It's not like I have luxury trades to spend. Like, I may as well wait the week.
Yeah.
But like, if that's the case, that uses one trade to get to Curran, which takes me down to 3, and then one trade to go May to Crichton, which takes me down to 2. And there's every chance that Terrell May's lost enough money by then for me to need to generate cash, which takes me down to 1. So that's why I opted against the trade. But it kind of fixes the front row for the weeks that AFB and Terrell May are out.
That's why the Casey McLean trade makes sense. If you can get someone that's you think is going to play the rest of the year, make some money, and then you don't need to worry about it enough because it's hard to get a player that you can, get real cheap. He's a playable option and then can help you get to others because I really think this year nothing's going to burn you with the buys each week and the tougher known. But yeah, I guess everyone's going to be trying to fix up the position they need the most. What about you, Tim? Do you think you're going to sell Terrell, or you're looking at not like if you don't have AFB this week, are you branching off to someone like AFB?
It's something I might look at next week. Like this week for me, my trades will be the Nathan Cleary and McLean trade, and then the only next trade I've got marked in is round 23, the Ponga trade in. So next week, there's a space there where if May's not doing it, maybe I might look to shift him to potentially AFB or maybe Haas, one of those two guys, because I've got Curran and May, and Curran, wow, like I was hoping it was going to benefit him and Hughes. It's really only benefited Curran. Hughes is not really doing much extra, but Curran 73 minutes or something. I don't reckon he could keep that up like for another 7 rounds, could he? Like that seems a bit over the top, but he's got a pretty good work rate in him. Like he's got a good motor.
He'll keep going as long as his body allows him. He's been going pretty hard all season. They have tried to manage him some weeks, but I feel like he'll keep going as long as his body lets him. So I don't hate it at all. Yeah, and that's kind of why I was considering Curran.
I'm not too stressed about him this week. Yeah. I can see why. Now that the minutes have gone up, I've always really liked him as well. Without him, actually, he's never really been as great this year, but he's been good. But now he could have the potential to be great with that increase of minutes.
Yep, I agree. All right, we'll answer some questions and then
you got a lag
talk
there.
about actually. All right, let me. Is that better?
You'd frozen for a bit there, and I don't know. Is what better?
Is the connection better?
A little bit better because you were frozen.
Yeah, I was
not
on
really
Wi-Fi.
though, mate.
It's not better?
No, you're dropping in and out a bit, but we'll push through and see how it goes for a bit. Get through a few questions. Maybe we've got another 10 minutes or so just to do some.
Yeah.
If it's a train wreck,
firstly, apologise for this, lads. Obviously, our Tuesday show is so much higher quality. Am I dropping out?
No, you're going all right. Keep going.
Yeah. Obviously, our Tuesday show is like the show everyone looks forward to. So I apologise for not being that today. So I really apologise. But we'll answer some questions. Chris Shanko, g'day, lads. Congratulations on your run this year, Sads. Ridiculous achievement, staying in the 50 for so long. What do we think a bigger priority trade in this week, Cleary or Crichton? I think Cleary.
Yeah. It feels like you want to get as many weeks of him, I reckon, now that we've seen him come back and put a good performance in on return.
Yeah,
he's good to go. You want to get as many weeks. You want to get 7 weeks out of him rather than 6, especially when there's a potential he might rest the final round, depending on how they are positioned. So, I'd be getting the most of him out as we can out of him.
Matthew Sherwood, up close and personal. I love it. Love that.
Yeah, I didn't realise my mic's covering my face, so I didn't realise how close I was half the time because I can't really see myself because it's covering I can't really see myself.
Matthew Sherwood, now you know how our non-turbo owners feel. I don't know what he means by that. Maybe we'll talk about something earlier in the episode. Josh Shields, thinking of avoiding turbo for Ponga. Thoughts? I think it's a perfectly viable tactic. I know earlier in the show I kind of fought against Ponga and for turbo, but I think if you miss turbo, it's probably not wise to get him right now. I think what Ponga can match him, if not do better for the run home, but I wouldn't be trading in either right now.
Depends how much cash you got too. If you got lots of trades and you can use it, downgrade to make it happen, you're not worried about doing things in 2 trades and stuff like that, and you prefer turbo, pick the guy you prefer. Don't worry about the extra 120K. But for me, trades and cash is an issue, so I'm going with Ponga.
Josh Shields, Savs, heard you asking the ladies who the sexiest player is. We've never heard your answer, though. Ooh, This is a good one because I've never really thought about it. Do you want to say who your favorite is? It Reece Walsh?
Oh, I think he's like, because if like, because everyone wants him, he's like he's the hot property.
Mhm.
Like, and if you got to walk down, holding hands down Main Street with Reece Walsh, everyone's like, oh, he's got him. Oh, he's got him. You'd look like a bit of a winner. But I think the one that goes a bit under the radar, he's not under the radar. He's very much appreciated, but he's not as flamboyant and doesn't love himself as much, I don't think. I dropped out. Yeah, I'm a Herbie boy. He's got the accent. He's a bit taller.
Yeah. See, like I'm thinking about it right now, and maybe because I see these guys in real life, like I look Nathan Cleary. I think he's like but maybe it's just because he's like an athlete, like he's a specimen.
Full package. He's got the full package, Nathan Cleary.
But I also think the same about Stephen Crichton because he's just like you see him in real life, and he's just like just aura around him. But neither of them would be the hottest. Like I wouldn't say that they're the hottest player, but I think they're severely underrated when people kind of say their questions. I really don't know. Jamie Humphries is up there, I reckon.
You don't have to pick him for life. Interesting.
I want to say I reckon Connor Watson, but I don't want to be vanilla by saying that. So I'll stick with Connor Watson. But
you're big on the hair. You like the big long hair.
Yeah,
I'm picking up what your thing is. Yeah,
I love the hair, the mo. Very good.
All right. Any other SuperCoach questions?
Yes, Bryce. Hey lads, who would you sell out of Walker, Hughes, Campbell, Galvin to get Cleary? That's a good one.
Great question. We should have covered more of this. I think your Walker is Sam Walker or Cody Walker. If it's Sam Walker, I'd probably, it'd have to be Cody Walker in your case, because if you were to get Cleary and you had Jerome Hughes and Sam Walker, they're both only available in halfback. So, yeah, I think in your case there, Cody Walker. Galvin's going good. He's got a good jaw. Savs has been a bit worried about his body holding up being a young player, but I think he's keen. He was on the Matty Johns show just saying he's just keen to play.
Can you shut the fuck up? Can you shut the fuck up? I want to jump in right now because I've been saying the last few weeks I'm worried about his body. I'm not worried about his body anymore. I think after the weekend, 20 points in offloads, 20 points in tackles, 22 points in tackles, and he got like 30 points in runs. I think Lockie Galvin, he has the best draw for any 5'8" for the run home.
Yeah. He might still have a couple of little ones in there, but, he really looks like he's going looking for it, and he's in everything. And now with Caesar out, he's probably going to be even more dominant and getting more ball, I reckon, too. So, yeah, all on him. Jaden Campbell, I reckon if you've got Jerome Hughes, you want to try hold him and pair him the whole year, I reckon. He's your guy to pair. And, Campbell, probably hold on to him. You could sell Campbell for down the track if you've got extra trades.
Yeah, I agree. But Cody Walker, I'm selling Cody Walker for Nathan Cleary this week, and I'm holding Dylan Brown and Lockie Galvin over him. So I like it. There's another question here. Kyle Harding, Tamari Martin or Galvin to Cleary? I think Tamari Martin.
100%.
Raymond Crane trades this week. May and Wishart out, Cleary and Gus in, leaving 150k in the bank. Then I only got upgrade. I feel like that's not a question. That's a brag.
yeah, that's intense. That's intense, buddy. Well done.
SC Warrior, Gus is the best 2RF by far. Barnett is the second. Yeah. I want to ask your question on Barnett because hearing some rumours that he could goal kick this weekend.
Well, that makes a lot of sense because Yeah, I think the commentator shouted out something like, "Why isn't he kicking?" And then I was just like, "Oh yeah, why isn't he kicking?"
I thought exactly the same thing.
Yeah, well, it actually evaded my mind. Like I just forgot about him back in his Knights days when he was the kicker. You know what I mean? So
And second row Barnett, not front row Mitch Barnett.
and I reckon Barnett's the best front row. Not, and I don't know if he is this. He might be the second best second rower, but I reckon that upside's got to be hard to maintain. You know what I mean? Like it's got to fizzle a bit, right? Whereas I don't like. I'm not saying he's a shit to own. Like I'd love to have him. He's just so expensive. But it's got to fizzle off a little.
I agree. Where else have we got? Campbell or Dillbags to Cleary? That's a good one. Campbell or Dillbags to Cleary?
Tough one. Well, Dylan Brown, I think close to selling him, but this was last week. I was thinking I'd prefer to sell him over Cody, but you look at Dylan Brown, his last two games are really, really good. I'm just looking at my drawer up on the wall. He's got the Dragons and the Titans in the last two rounds. Although he does have some very tough, like this week it's the Storm. Whilst next week not too bad, but then he has Panthers, Roosters, Broncos. So 4 of his next 5 games are pretty much like you Broncos aren't top 4 at the moment, but they're a very good side when all their players are back, and they're going to be really on a charge by that time. So they're tough games, but Dylan Brown just seems to just put up 50, 60 points, even against the tough opponents. Even if you look against like what he averages against nearly every opponent, it's always that. His scores are very, very consistent. He doesn't really have those low ones in him. Jaden Campbell seems to have more upside, and I was really in love with the idea of owning him. Last week, I was just a bit like worried. Like they were going right a lot last week. The Titans were targeting the right a fair bit. They did score down the, but then they had a bit of joy down the right, and they wanted to keep going there more often than not. But that might have just been a 1 week thing. Yeah, I'd probably say sell Campbell just because of the extra value. He's like 800K versus 600K. It's 200K more. And Campbell does have low ones in him. I heard people sort of saying, "Oh, the draw's really good for the Titans. The draw's really good for the Titans." It's not that crash hot. The draw is this week is it the Finns? Yeah, Finns, then Broncos. That's tough next week, and Finns probably going to be toughish this week as well. Sharks after that. They do have the Dragons, which is nice, but then the Roosters, the Knights, and Panthers. So there's only 2 good games there, the Dragons and the Knights. So outside of that, it's Broncos, Sharks, Roosters, Panthers. So people sort of selling that, oh, Titans have got a great draw. I don't know what they're going on about. So
yeah, I don't think their draw is that great. I looked into it as a Brian Kelly owner.
Are you frozen or are you just...
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I feel like you're the one that's frozen. I think you're the one that's frozen because mine's going fine.
Maybe you're lagging just for me. Maybe.
Yeah, because you're not lagging for me at all. So, yeah, maybe it's you. We'll have to watch it back. Last question, Shack Attack. I'm in the top 10, but missed out on Turbo. I'm thinking of jumping on Walsh for the pod run home, or should I match the opponents? I think if you've got trades, go on Walsh now for a couple of weeks and then go to Turbo. Oh, but if Walsh doesn't make money, it's not a good trade. What are your thoughts, Timmy? You've been in a similar position.
The thing is, though, he's got Dogs this week, which isn't a great matchup. And then Titans next week is a good one. You know, if you were going to go someone just before Turbo, I'd actually probably go Pappy. His draw last week was a bit rough, But this week and next week, the draws are very, very good. But that's not the question he's asking. He's just asking whether he should go Walsh or Turbo. And if I was going one or the other, I would just go Turbo and expect. I know there's the bye there, but I'm pretty sure the Broncos also have a bye in round 24.
They do, yeah.
So, yeah, I'd go Turbo. Turbo can put 100 on just with a couple of attacking stats. And, Walsh has got to, have a really, like maybe three to four really big plays for that to happen. So, yeah, I just think Turbo can do it easier. And it's hard for Walsh to get 150 plus.
I agree. All right. It's been a long night. We've been all over the place, but we've done a podcast, if you can count that as a podcast. We're not doing tipping point. Captains, I'm going Cleary.
Mm-hmm. Yep, me too. I'm going VC Teddy.
VC is irrelevant for me these days. I think with Joe Chan lingering, I just don't like it. But yeah, we got through a podcast. I apologise. We'll have a nice little Q&A going on Thursday. So I'll put out a call tomorrow on Instagram. So keep an eye out for that. But thank you for sticking with us through this tough carry, because this was a tough carry, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. I will just say for the VCs out there, it's more of the VC's more on than normal because Chan is out suspended, so less of an AE nightmare in your side this week. So it's more on.
Good pick up there. Brendan Hands can come in to rescue.
Yeah, I'm sure my guy will be Hughes or someone like that. Up, and thanks for the sharing with us, and we'll see you next week back at the studio.